group of whistleblowers at the services SETA in the Department of Higher Education and Training have been through 5 years of hell. Today we speak to one of them, Lehloma Ramajoe. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for an opportunity to speak to you.
What was your position at the time of you blowing the whistle?
I was the Senior Manager, Chamber Operations. I was responsible for different industries at the services SETA. One manager was interacting with almost all the stakeholders within the SETA.
What did you expose?
Well, we've exposed a number of things. Supply chain corruption. Senior executives were appointed without proper qualifications. The building of skill centers that became white elephants. A number of other things that includes just financial irregularities.
What happened to you after you exposed these irregularities?
Well, at first, 5 members of the board, for some reason, in one meeting, had complaints about me. Just in one meeting, they all had complaints about me. And in that meeting, just to give you a briefing, it's a meeting where they shortlisted for the position of CEO. And I must confess that I had applied for that position because I hold a Master's in Business Administration and Master's of Law. And the person that I knew they wanted to appoint did not have the required qualification. And ultimately, that is the person who was appointed. So in that meeting, 5 of them had complaints about me. And they called for my investigation, and I was investigated, and safe to say that none of those allegations survived to my last charge sheet. When I received the last charge sheet, it was flimsy things like I acted unprofessional in one of the meetings. That happened about 2 years ago. One of my staff members, who was a manager reporting to me, complained that I bullied her. This was resolved. This was addressed sometimes in 2016. They brought it back. They brought, in fact, all historical issues that I had. They went and pulled everybody to come and testify against me. And then the charge sheet was then drafted.
But you were not the only whistleblower. There was a whole group of you.
Yeah, almost all of us were dismissed in that period of the when I was dismissed. One of the senior managers also who was very vocal, and there's a common thing amongst all of us. We are former trade unionists. We're vocal about corruption. We could not be corrupted. Several times they've tried to persuade me to sign invoices from people who had not done anything, were contracted. I mean, in my department, for instance, I had 2 projects. One of them was 150 million. And the other one was 157 million. During those the implementation of those projects, they appointed several companies to do project management. On some of these things, managers could do those things. They are just administrative issues, but they had given those people those contracts. And when I refused to sign some of these invoices, I was then called several times by the former chairperson, the former CEO, to establish why I was refusing. But I then said, no, I'm not going to confirm things that I don't have evidence on. I don't want to be implicated in these things. And that, I think that's when it started. But the most important thing is when we started exposing these things.
Now, what has happened to the CEO who signed your letter of dismissal?
Well, the CEO who signed the letter of dismissal is the one that got appointed just a few months after I was suspended. And when I got dismissed, she's the one who signed my dismissal letter. An interesting thing about my case, it was handled completely by outside people. And a law firm that briefed an advocate. And this law firm is the law firm that, when she could not succeed in her position as the CEO after she served 2 years, she then resigned and joined that law firm that was used against me as a director. And you should know, to become a named partner in any of the law firms, you must have contributed a significant amount of money. And that law firm was doing a lot of work at Services SETA. They received a lot of contracts. When she left the SETA, she went and became the director in that firm. And not only a director, the named partner.
Now, you are still fighting legal battles.
Yes, my case is still at Labour Court. For some reason, they have appointed an advocate who was linked and had a relationship with the former CEO, and who was briefed by this law firm that she joined immediately after she left the SETA. And he has made this thing his personal battle. When we went to court, he lied that the transcripts were not complete. I investigated the matter and I realized that transcripts were complete, just to delay this thing. Now his last submission is that the post that I had occupied there is no longer existing. So there's no post for me anymore. So I can tell that they don't want me. But the facts are there. My dismissal was unfair.
Now, what has been happening there since you have left?
Well, one of the things that I need to indicate is that since I left there, that SETA has got for 5 consecutive years a qualified audit. So they have never suffered. They've never healed from their past. Since I left, they got a qualified audit, and for 5 years they got qualified audits. And the executives that we exposed, who were appointed without qualifications, are still there. And the public protector was just misled, because they just moved them in between posts, but at the same level. And one of those executives was recently appointed as acting CEO. And I found that to just be a middle finger shown to either the public protector or the portfolio committee on higher education. But I can simply say that SETA has never recovered since we exposed this corruption. A law firm called Werksman investigated some of these issues that we raised, he blew whistle on, and they found that we were correct. And some of the officials there, including the CEO and the CFO and the former chairperson, were implicated in that report. And they were found to have done some financial irregularities and supply chain corruption. And still now, we have not seen any action from the minister.
I was going to ask you about the minister. Why do you believe there has not been action from the minister at this Services SETA?
I don't. I think there's a very questionable relationship that the minister has with that SETA. But I simply want to say that the former chairperson of that SETA was appointed by the minister at PSETA, a public service SETA, as the chairperson or as as an administrator. Then appointed at construction SETA as an administrator, appointed at services SETA as the chairperson of the board by the same minister. And when the minister left the department to go to the transport department for a short while, he appointed the same person as the chairperson of the board of Sandra. So that person has got a very questionable relationship with the minister. And I think that's the reason why the minister has not acted on this person. But the minister also appointed the former CEO of Services SETA as the CEO of NSFAS. And we know that recently that CEO has been dismissed from NSFAS for corruption.
Now, I spoke to one of your fellow whistleblowers last night who is now in danger of losing her home. Do you feel that the enormous sacrifices all of you made have been in vain? That it's changed nothing, but that your lives and livelihoods have been impacted in the most tragic way?
You know, I honestly believe that whistleblowing in South Africa is a useless exercise. Whistleblowers are not protected. And I will tell you why. This whole thing that everyone is equal before the law that you find in the Constitution does not work for whistleblowers. Because once you are dismissed for whistleblowing, you are going to spend your money, going to spend your pensions to fight these powerful people who are using state money against you. I mean, Services SETA has spent, I can safely say, more than 7 million rand on my case. And I've spent a lot of money on my case. And still now, there's nothing that has happened. I can tell you now, the people that we have exposed, and a number of institutions have proven us right. It is the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education. It is the National Skills Authority that advises the minister. It is the Office of the Public Protector, and it is the South African Qualification Authority. Have confirmed that those people do not meet the requirements of the positions that they applied for. Nothing has happened to those people. They are still there. 5 years after they were found not to qualify for their positions, they are still there. Werksman have now exposed corruption at Services SETA, implicating a number of senior people. Those people are still there. Nothing has happened. There's nothing that has been found. The minister has received all these complaints. We have also written to the minister ourselves, but no action has been taken on these issues. So I don't think anything has changed so far. But I can tell you, I can tell you, the wheels will turn very soon because external media and people who hate corruption like all of us are fighting. And I can tell you, Outer is fighting left, right, and center, exposing these things. We are not going to stop exposing these things ourselves, because I don't believe that any evil can ever prevail over good.
Your former fellow whistleblower I spoke to last night was so deeply distressed because the bank is repossessing her home, because she has not been able to keep up with payments because of the loss of her job. Have you managed to hold on to your home?
This thing will remain a financial burden for all of us. And I mean, I'm over 50 years of age, and it's very difficult to find a job at this age, despite all the qualifications I have, and the type of dismissal. No employer wants to know how you were dismissed, what were you dismissed for, and so on. You can't give any employer your court transcripts and everything. So once they think that you are dismissed, they will never employ you. So at this point in time, I'm still not working. I'm living out of my wife's support, and I've been having, unfortunately, a very supportive wife. And yeah, I'm very lucky for her not to, by this time, having got tired, to say, I can't do this thing anymore. But yes, there's a lot of struggle. I had to take a part of my pension to put it into the bond. So that has affected my retirement. I mean, if you take most of your pension and pay the bond just because you are not working, it has affected your financial plans for the future.
After what you've been through, what would your advice be to whistleblowers, knowing what they are going to go through?
You know, I wouldn't say people must stop exposing corruption. But my advice is that when you do that, you must be sure and get ready for a long battle of powerful people that are using state money to fight whistleblowers. That you must be ready for. I cannot lie to you and say that it will work for you. It might work for the bigger good, but you are going to struggle as a whistleblower. At least we still have got organizations that are supporting whistleblowers, like Whistleblowers Association that came to our rescue, assisted us. Whistleblower House, yes. And these are the people that I must say thanks to, because during those difficult times, you could still know that there are people who are with you, who understand what you are going through. But apart from that, you are made to be this bad person who does not care about his staff and so on. And the shocking thing is that all the people who are left there, who were believed to be better than some of us, are struggling. I mean, that SETA should have been saved if indeed some of us were proven to be what we were exposed, or what the allegation was saying we are. That SETA should have survived, but it has never survived since we left. In fact, it is in the worse state than it was before.
Thank you. That was SETA whistleblower Lehloma Ramajoe speaking to BizNews about the 5 years of hell he and fellow whistleblowers have endured. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am.